If you are a financial advisor or life insurance agent, whether you are a virtual advisor or would like to learn more about how to become a virtual digital advisor, I strongly encourage you to join us for this week's episode of the Digital Advisor Weekly. My name is Rob Souza. I'm the owner of the AFI Group, a financial advisory firm in Southern California, and also marketing director of the Advisor Marketing Hub, which is what we're talking about today with our Digital Advisor Weekly episode here. And thank you for joining us. Feel free to comment live if you'd like. Be interesting to know where people are coming from or the advisor that you're working for are coming from, because we have virtual assistants that are also joining us from around the world who are helping our advisors. Okay, so let's jump right in, because we are talking about how to grow your practice or your virtual advisory firm with new tools and communication strategies to significantly grow your audience and your reach, and hopefully your conversion rates as well. Okay, so we're going to jump right in talking about how you can literally double, if not 4x, the growth of your company, just adding some of these virtual or digital marketing tools and strategies. And in that process, we're going to show you 4 key areas that we want you to follow so that you can implement very, very simple strategies. And the first step we're going to talk about is the benefit of virtual meetings. Now, I'm sure most of you have been doing virtual meetings. All of us were forced into it during the pandemic. And those of us who weren't were dramatically surprised how quickly people can adapt if we're put in a situation where we absolutely have to. And so if you haven't continued those strategies, I encourage you to do so because of all of the benefits, which we're going to go through right here. First and foremost, the follow-up meetings. And I don't mean all of them. Some of you are doing kind of a hybrid where you meet with your client first, you may do follow-up meetings in between, and you're going to use Zoom or some sort of digital platform to be able to do that. And I encourage you to do that. Why? Because there's a lot less meeting prep, travel time, and you can do a lot of collaborative sharing. And so super helpful to be able to maximize your time and your reach. Maximizing your time is maximizing your reach. So absolutely, I encourage you to, if you're not, again, going full digital or virtual, to consider maybe a hybrid method where you start mixing in some of those meetings. Okay. Also easier to reschedule and follow up. Obviously, most of you who are watching, if you're an advisor or life insurance agent, we know it's prolific in our industry that people need to reschedule, they cancel, or we just need a quick check-in because we need some updated information. We don't want to spend an entire hour meeting in our office just to find out their situation has changed and that we have to redesign an entire retirement income strategy, all because of some information that you may have received last minute. These are great to do digitally as a quick follow-up because you can keep it short, get the information you need, and then reschedule a follow-up once you've had the time to actually re-input the new edited numbers. Okay. I'm just going to do a quick check-in here. Welcome, Anna, Sheila, Marie, and yes, real-time feedback, absolutely. And yeah, wider reach. So yes, for sure, Marie. Super helpful. So we're going to jump back here. So we talked about meeting prep, reschedule follow-up are much easier when you're talking about using virtual advising and digital marketing. So they go hand in hand. Digital marketing plays well into the virtual advising where you can incorporate that into the follow-up. We even have some advisors that are traveling around the country and they will do a live presentation. Maybe their first meeting they will do in person, and then they'll do all of the remaining follow-up meetings they'll do over Zoom or one of the other digital meeting platforms to follow up and close the meeting. And that's becoming super popular, both for the client and also for the advisor as well. Yes, it also shortens meetings. Obviously, it's going to remove travel time for both you and for the client, which is super helpful. They may be much more likely to meet with you if they don't have to make the commute. And this is super helpful, especially if somebody says, "Oh, well, I'm traveling to India for the next month." Okay, well, no problem. You have internet access, right? You have internet access in your hotel. Let's just schedule a 20-minute meeting, a 30-minute meeting. You want to make sure you're enhancing your follow-ups on a regular basis. If you let a month go by and you haven't spoken to them, the likelihood is their interest will start to drop off. And it's really hard to re-engage them and get them enthusiastic if it's been a really long time in between meetings, and you're more likely to close a sale if you're able to meet with a client on a weekly, at minimum, weekly basis. And then we'll talk about kind of how to create some automated follow-up in between those meetings for sure. Okay, and then of course, expanded reach. You can open your market to nationwide, which in this day and age is becoming almost necessary, because if you've been in this industry for a while, you know that your clients often will move to another state. And so for annual reviews and other types of analysis that you need to do, it's much easier to just jump on a quick Zoom call than it is to travel to a different state. But when it comes to actual reach for sales, what virtual advising does for you is it allows you to niche down, but expand your reach. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but the reality is if you have the entire nation that you can market to, then you can get much more narrow in your specific niche if you can use it to market your unique services to the entire country and aren't limited to your local driving area. So, and of course, the more narrow the niche, the greater impact that you have, because you become more unique and your solution for a unique group of people becomes very unique. So I also love this about virtual advising. Okay, so we're going to move on to niche focus and growth. We just talked a little bit about it. We're going to check in on comments here. Yes, enhancing for sure. So enhancing consistent follow. Now, the only thing I would add to this is automation, is make sure that you're automating the process. So if you have a certain process on a certain solution, I would encourage you to have automated videos and some sort of messaging homework that your prospects can kind of go through in between meetings so that you can continue the sales process even in between sales meetings. So follow up is absolutely key. And automating that process obviously would make your business so much easier. And yes, Judy, you're right. There's limited duration of meetings. And so it's easier to keep people on topic. Of course, there's one thing that you can't replicate in a digital meeting, and that's going to be the rapport breaking bread and sharing a meal together, or sitting in an office and being able to get to know somebody face to face. So that's the only challenge, but there are ways to overcome that. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. All right, so niche and focus. We're going to get into this really quickly. The smaller the niche, the larger the audience. I've already covered that. So I am going to jump to the next benefit. Actually, I always often I teach ahead, and I did nationwide reach. So yes, you can narrow the niche and have a larger audience because of your reach, expanding your reach. So if you're struggling to find your niche, I encourage you to expand your audience through geographic, and virtual advising helps you do that. It's definitely more convenient. You can definitely do a lot more meetings virtually than you can if you're in the car, especially here in Southern California. So it will allow you to help more people because you're being much more efficient automating the process, doing it virtually. Okay, so we're going to jump into part 3. We only have 4 parts, so we're almost there, halfway through. All right, so tech tools. This is super important because you want to make the process engaging, and you want to make sure that they still experience the authenticity and the connection between you and them. Remember, in order for somebody to trust you, they need to know you. And they need to know you not just by reading a story about you. I'm talking about they know you because they've sat across a table, they've looked into your eyes, you have seen the expressions on their face about what connects with them, what doesn't connect with them. So using the right tools makes an enormous difference. Let's go through these really quickly. First tech tool, obviously, is a conferencing platform. So either Zoom, Teams, Microsoft Teams, there's Google Meet, lots of different platforms. I happen to use the Zoom platform, but I've used Google Teams as well. And my encouragement to you is please don't screen share and make yourself into a small, tiny box that your participant, your prospect or your client cannot see, because human connection is the biggest disadvantage about being a virtual advisor. And so we want to make sure we have that eye contact. And I'm going to show you that in a second. Okay. So whatever platform you choose, just make sure when you screen share, don't make your camera disappear. And if you're ever in a virtual meeting, always turn on your camera. Always, always, always turn on your camera. And it just takes a few minutes of prep time. Automated scheduling. Yeah, so you need an automated scheduler, whether it's Calendly, HubSpot. We also have in our software, Better Automate, integrated automated calendars that make it easy for you to give a link. For instance, schedulewithrob.com is my calendar link, and people can go there and they can schedule an appointment. Make it as easy as possible for people to schedule. And then in those automated calendars, obviously there's the ability to have people reschedule or cancel if necessary. Okay, and then cloud-based file sharing. So this is super important. There's one reason why I really like the Google Drive platform, and it's because when you share a file in the Google Drive platform, then you actually, when you make a change in the file actually shows the change live, real time, on the local or on the file that you've shared with your client as well. So I'm actually going to show you just an example. So here is, let's see if I can get a screen share. There we go. Okay, so here's an example of a screen share. Notice I didn't make my box really small. I'm taking up at least 1/3, if not half of the screen. You want to make sure that you do on Zoom or any other of the sharing platforms, yet I still can share my screen. I'm going to go back here. We were just talking about Google Docs. Okay, so here's a Google Doc. You can see that I'm sharing here, and there is you can see on the side here, it creates an outline and I can click on and skip to any portion of this document that I want. And then as I make edits, it will show the client the edits that I'm making. I also, this happens to be a website project. You can see tasks that are done or not done, but you also can create comments on the side as you collaborate with your prospect or your client. They can provide feedback to you. It happens in real time, and you don't even have to be sharing your screen because it will happen as you see here. You can make comments, add a comment, you can add a reaction, or the client can suggest edits. So file sharing and compliance, uh, the OneDrive and Google Drive are military grade encryption, and they do meet the requirements of financial file sharing within the financial industry, but check with your compliance department specifically. Okay, so that's cloud-based file sharing. And then, of course, drawing software is super helpful. The reason that drawing software is so helpful because it actually engages the client significantly more than if you're just sharing a raw document. So I encourage you, if you don't have an iPad, there's other sketch pads that you can buy for as little as $50. You can connect a, like I happen to connect a, was it Surface Pro, because I can see what I'm drawing in a Surface Pro. So we can see here, if I'm trying to explain a concept, and this is super helpful when you're trying to educate somebody about their particular portfolio, oftentimes drawing can make them feel more connected in the process. And so, let's see if I can, there we go. So, and the nice thing about if you're using Zoom sharing or you're using Microsoft's whiteboard, I can write on a shared whiteboard on one device and it shows up on another device pretty quickly. So I'm going to draw a circle here. You'll see there it is. Okay. It comes up very quickly. I've purchased a very inexpensive pen, easy to do. I put my Surface Pro or iPad flat, and it helps you to be able to provide the education that they need and illustrate whatever it is that you're trying to teach during your meeting. So drawing software is super helpful. It's been instrumental for us, especially when you're teaching advanced financial concepts. Okay. We are going to jump into communication strategies. So we'll remove this. There we go. Again, talking about always try and be full screen if you can. Why? Because you're trying to connect with your audience as much as you can, eye to eye, face to face, and seeing reactions. So you can do, I encourage you to do split screen and make sure that you can see them as well as they can see you. All right, so communication strategies. So we're wrapping up here with what I think is the most important. Yes, everybody can have the tools, but if we don't communicate properly during meetings, then we're going to miss that ability to connect. And that's the biggest hurdle and challenge for virtual advisors, is to learn how to make sure you can reach through that screen and connect with potential prospects and clients and still make sure that they feel like you have that very strong connected relationship. Okay, we're just going to check comments here. Yes, that's very true. Brands do stand out when you have the ability to be a virtual advisor, because right now it's about 20% of advisors are virtual. So very true. Yeah, you literally can meet with more clients. So Sheila, you're absolutely right. You can meet with more clients, which means you can increase your statistical odds of turning turning prospects into clients. And Judy, yes, more you automate your follow-up, and you can do video recordings that can educate in between meetings, allows them with more conversations and more videos to be more exposed to your ideas and your brands. All kinds of great comments here. Boy, great feedback. Yeah, it goes back to clear communication and transparency. Yeah, builds trust. Absolutely. Judy, very true. Communication tools build trust within organizations, especially when you're using proper communication skills. So, uh, with that, absolutely. I'm going to jump in and finish then. There we go. Our communication strategies. And first and foremost, automate your follow up. We already talked about that. And then make sure that you're mirroring words, tone, emotions, and values. All of it comes down to values, but mirroring simply just means that you're checking in with your prospect and making sure that you're repeating what they're saying, but in your own words to make sure that you understood what they were communicating to you. So, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I'm hearing you say that your biggest concern is taxation and how that may limit your retirement spent your net spendable cash flow in retirement and limit your ability to pass on a greater legacy to your children. Is that correct? And then they'll either correct themselves or you got it right and they feel like you definitely understand what their concerns are. Tone, this is important. People don't realize this. If you're meeting with a particular prospect and maybe they're very academic or maybe they're very shy, I'd be careful, even if you're type A, outgoing, articulate, and really enthusiastic. It's proven that if you mirror the tone of your prospect, the connection will be stronger. So you have to dial it back if you're with an introvert. If you're with a couple and one of the individuals is not speaking much, they're just sitting there listening, I encourage you to engage them. Ask them really specific questions. Ask them what they think. Draw them out because you're going to need both of the spouses on board with the messaging, and you want to make sure it represents both of their values. So make sure that you're checking in with each participant in the meeting and trying to figure out what their values are. And then emotions. That's why video is so powerful. You can tell when people pull back. You can see when people get frustrated. Sometimes they've had a personal bad experience with life insurance. Maybe one of their parents has had a problem with life insurance and maybe they lost a lot of money. Maybe they lost their home. And so you'll see their whole demeanor change if you even mention the word life insurance. And if you're not able to pick up on their facial expressions, then you're not going to be able to pivot the presentation and the meeting to address their emotional concerns, which then goes back to establishing their genuine values. So super important to mirror what's happening on the other side of that camera and why it's important to have cameras on. Okay. And finally, you got to communicate the value of your offer. So it's really important. Everybody, it's a whole nother class, and you can, if you're on YouTube, you can find it down below in one of our videos. But making sure that you have a unique sales proposition that articulates very clearly the problem that you solve and who is the niche audience or unique audience that you solve that problem for. So federal employee benefits, that's very specific. You could get even narrower and do a VA, veteran employee benefits. So you can niche down as much as you want to, especially as a virtual advisor, and communicate what solution do you provide them. We reduce or eliminate taxation for military federal benefits for military veterans. Very, very specific. But can you communicate it in an authentic way that makes them believe that you have a specific solution that they're not going to be able to read about on the internet or they're not going to be able to get from anyone else except for you? So whatever it is that you've developed, you've got to be able to communicate and articulate your unique sales proposition. If you do that in combination with all the other tools and strategies we gave you, I guarantee you, at the very minimum, you can double your business. If you've not implemented any of these, I've seen advisors more than 4 or 5 times growth in their business as they implement these tools, the technology, the automation, and the strategies. So hopefully that helps grow your business. And if you need any resource, if you'd like to check out any of the resources that we mentioned today, feel free to, and it's in the description notes, feel free to schedule a 15-minute call with me at schedulewithrob.com, or check out amhadvisormarketinghub.com. We'd love to be able to provide you with any additional resources that you may want to help you scale your business. And join us next week, 8 a.m. Pacific time, every Wednesday. We'll see you there.